Hello and welcome to today's edition of the 4Ps podcast. You know, when I started this podcast, I did not realize the people that I would meet, the places that I would go, the things that I would do. You know, I started this in that book right there, The 4Ps of You, that book sitting right there. I wrote that book and I said, hey, I need to make sure that I distinguish what the 4Ps are all about. And the podcast came out before the book. And I did not, like I said, I didn't realize that I would be talking to the people that I've talked to. I have met great friends. I have traveled to Australia. I've gone to Canada, which I go all the time, but I have done things. I have met phenomenal CFL players. That is my favorite sport. You guys know that I talk about the Canadian Football League all the time, even though my favorite sport is hockey, but my favorite league is the CFL, the Canadian Football League. You know, Craig Ellis is a great friend of mine. I love him to death. And you know what? Today will be the day that I will always remember, because one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my top five. I'm going to give you my top five movies, and you can tell that I am very immature when it comes to movies. Actually, I will tell you my number one movie of all time is Rocky. All right, I love Rocky. It's a great movie. Sylvester Stallone is just, you know, it's just a great movie. I still quote it anytime it's on TV. I watch it. But my next favorite movie is a movie called Stripes. And Stripes is with Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and John Candy. Probably one of the quintessential movies of my childhood. I love it. And I said childhood, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a kid that's under the age of 10, he shouldn't be watching that movie because it's kind of messed up. Just trying to tell you. All right. My third favorite movie of all time is the movie Friday. The movie Friday is so important because it's just friggin' funny. I love this movie. It makes me laugh from beginning to end. People still say some lines from it. As a matter of fact, my grandson, who's 10 years old, came home and actually dropped down one of the lines from Friday, and I told him, where did he get it from? And that is like my number three movie. Number four is Waterboy. So you can tell I'm an immature person because everything I've listened to right now is all about comedy and laughing. And I'm going to tell you, Waterboy with Adam Sandler made my stomach hurt. Literally made my stomach hurt. Love that movie to death. And number five is Trading Places. I love Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. Greatest movie I think Eddie Murphy's ever done. And I still, even anytime that's on TV, I watch it as well. It's a great movie. But Friday. Let's go back to Friday. Friday, my number three movie of all time. You know, people still come back and they sit there and say lines from Friday, some lines from Chris Tucker. You still, even when somebody takes something from you, they say they deboed it from you. Okay, so that's how much this movie means. But there's another slogan in that movie. It's "Bye, Felicia." Okay, and that's when my grandson came home and said one day, he said, "Bye, Felicia." And the person who played Felicia in the movie, all right, is going to be here today. Her name is Angela Means, and you know what? She is nothing like the Felicia in the movie Friday. She is extremely versatile. She has so many talents, and she has so many things that are going on. And when you hear her story, yes, we do talk about Friday. There's no doubt about it. You can't avoid it. Okay. But when you hear her story, you're going to realize that, you know what, she may not be, or she should not be where she is today, but she is. And she definitely beat all the odds. She's a fantastic person. She's an author. She's a chef. She's an activist in so many different ways. When we come back, we are going to have Angela Means, the Felicia from Friday, and so many other things. We'll be right back right after this.
Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard. At DNP, we bring your dream, purpose, and passion to life in print. Whether your manuscript is ready to go or just an idea waiting to unfold, we're here to guide you. With expert editing, stunning graphics, and the knowledge to make your book a reality, we'll help you share it with the world. From book festivals to signings, this is your moment. Let's turn your dream, purpose, and passion into print. Connect with us today and make your dream a reality.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. Like I said, today it is an extremely special episode because I have Angela Means. Now, I want to tell you something, Angela. All right. I literally, my entire early life after I left home and was in high school or in college and growing up having a family of my own and stuff like that, you were a part of my early life. You were on my favorite television show at the time back in the 90s. You were on In Living Color. You were on a couple episodes. You made me laugh there. Then you were in I Love House Party. All of them. All right? You were in House Party, okay? And the thing is then you were in literally like one of my top 5 comedies of all time. And that's Friday. Friday is like, and you know what? So I'm going to tell you, so now I am a 54-year-old grandfather. Okay?
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm a 54-year-old grandfather. And my grandson, now my grandson's 10. Friday has been out 20 years before he was born. Okay? Do you know my boy came home one day? He's 10. And I'm sorry, as much as I love the movie Friday, he's not ready for that yet. Okay? Why is he coming home and telling me, bye, Felicia?
Because my son did it when he was 9, came home one day talking about bye, Felicia. I was like, where did you see that movie? They're going to see it because you know why? Their friends want them to know about it. Yeah. It's like one of those secrets. I remember when I was a kid sneaking and listening to Red Fox albums.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's their, they sneak and listen to it because I wasn't going to show him until, he was an adult, but he got into it and he found it and here we are. Somebody showed him.
That is one of the movies that I don't care what I'm doing. If it's on TV, if you flip the channels, if it's on something, I'm watching it. There's no doubt I'm watching it. I love it. I'm going to ask you a question. You are a model, you're an entrepreneur, you're an actress. You, in House Party, you played the fine girls, okay?
Yeah.
How did you get, first of all, the makeup artist was phenomenal because way look like that. How did you get the part?
Wait, you talking about House Party or Friday?
Friday.
Okay.
House Party, you fit the part, absolutely,
okay.
But not in Friday. Friday, you did not. Number one, why did you want the part? Number two, the makeup artist just did a great job making you look bad because you look phenomenal.
Well, the makeup artist is she's iconic in herself, in her own right. She's worked her magic across the industry, and she's one of the top makeup artists in the business. And she also owns a company called the Beauty Blender. That little pink sponge, that's hers.
Wow.
Yeah, she invented that makeup sponge that you hold. It's like a teardrop. That's her. So she's iconic in herself and very, very talented. I remember when she told me and Regina King were pretty much the only people who went to sleep in makeup.
Wow.
And I went to sleep and I woke up and I had already done the work. I had already done the internal work of being beat up by Debo. I literally had the experience, internally. And so when I woke up and I looked in my face, I started crying. Wow. And she came up behind me. She put her arms around me. She comforted me. And then she whispered in my ear, if you mess up this makeup, I'm going to kill you. It's going to be a real black eye. She did a phenomenal job. And, the character comes to life in makeup and hair. It's so important. And that's where that's the last step, and then wardrobe, I think I had on wardrobe first and then came to the makeup trailer. So
Wow.
That's the last step in developing a character, and that's where she comes to life.
Absolutely. Now you had some really interesting lines in that movie. Um, and some of the things that you said, first of all, when you walked on the set, because everything was cool, you're sitting there watching, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker talk, and everything is cool, and then all of a sudden you just come out, right? You almost give a man anxiety. It's like, what are you going to ask for now? Were those written lines, or did you literally do that improv, any of that? Because I mean, it was just like random stuff.
No, that was I mean, I was acting, I was being the person. Acting isn't acting, it's being. So you just bring the script to life. A lot of Friday was improv, but not Felicia. I played Felicia straight. I stuck to the only thing I added was the right quick. Can I get and oh y'all stingy. That was something that I added, but I really couldn't get too far away because F. Gary Gray insisted, like I had said a couple of things, some MS, and F. Gary Gray, our director, was like, no, 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 no. Chris has used all the motherfuckers. No more motherfuckers. So, um, no, I was Felicia. I did the work. I put everything in about her, all her background, her psychological background, her educational background, her preferences, things that had happened to her, and I put it all inside, and I just let her rip. So it just comes out organically when you really do the work. That's the craft.
Wow.
That's what they call the craft, and
Yes.
and I was able to work it, and I wanted to do it because it was a departure from the pretty girl, the smiling, or the mom in the kitchen baking cookies, and it was something. Listen to this. I knew that I wasn't going to do this for forever. I
Right.
was going to move on and do something else. So it was my shot at doing something different than what people say, oh, you got stereotyped into that. But no, I was stereotyped into the pretty girl.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something that, you know, could be something I could look back and say, yeah, everything I did was different. I played an attorney, and all those characters are still in me because I broke them down. I did an interview a couple years ago. I got emotional, and people drugged me all over the internet, and they were like, "She's stuck in the character." I'm not stuck in Felicia. Felicia's stuck in me because of the
Absolutely.
work that I did. And I can pull her up anytime I want to. I can pull up Vita from House Party 3. Yeah, I can pull her up anytime I want to. I can pull up Aunt Vanessa anytime I want to. I can pull up Aunt Vanessa and I can feel her and I can be her. I don't act like them. I become them.
Wow.
And that's the craft.
That is phenomenal. And it's funny that you talk about that was, you talk about you were moving on to other things, and you have moved on to quite a bit. You call yourself a chef. You call yourself Chef Angela, and you do that for a very, very good reason. You are a chef, and you have a
Well, chef is the head of the kitchen.
absolutely.
And I had a vegan, an award-winning, internationally renowned vegan brand.
Hmm.
And most of it was out of a ghost kitchen. I initially started sharing a kitchen inside of a Chinese donut shop. And it got so popular that they put me out because we just literally took over the business.
Wow.
And then I went to a food truck just to maintain the brand because I mean we blew up, like we blew up. And then I went into the ghost kitchen space. Ghost kitchens are, say you have an apartment building and a bunch of studio apartments, but all the apartments are commercial kitchens. So you'll be next door to a Japanese place and a vegan place, and then there's a pizza place, and then there's a sandwich shop, and we're all right next to each other. So the customer comes into the lobby, they'll order off of a tablet, it comes through to your kitchen off of a printer. You fulfill the order, set it out in the hallway, and the runners come and get it and take it up to the front to the customer. And I did that for about 5 years of the brand. But the food was phenomenal. We were on everyone's best of list. So I call myself a chef because chef is head of the kitchen.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what got now? Have you always been a vegan, or is that something that came on later on, or
Well, I've always been the one who went to the soul food restaurant and just ordered the veggie plate. I never really, like, I didn't enjoy food, and I tried to go vegan when I was a kid because let me take my watch out, because my buddy was a cow. That's my cow from childhood.
oh wow,
And I was the only child in the middle of, I was a foster kid, and there was a ton of kids. Everyone had, you know, parents and siblings, and I was pretty much by myself.
mm,
I was by myself. And the animals were my friends. Like right now I have 10 pets on the property. So I just didn't want to eat them. But as time went on, I became desensitized like everyone else, and I ate meat, but I never really ate a whole lot of it. So when Bradley went to school, my son, he went to
right,
the other side of the country, I started getting these ailments. Because the senior year, I started eating and eating and eating because my only child was leaving the nest and going to the other side of the country, and it was
right,
comforting me. So I literally ate myself sick. And my instincts were, it's the meat, it's the dairy, it's the processed foods, it's a lot of different things. And I found mentors, and I just went cold turkey because I felt like he did everything we asked him to do. He was a scholar athlete.
yes, he was,
He two-time All-American, won the state title, never got into trouble, did everything we asked him to do. And how would I have the nerve to sit here and get sick while he's trying to do his thing on the other side of the country? He was the starting quarterback as a freshman.
right,
He was the media darling. He had a rough curriculum. He had a rough girlfriend. Now in hindsight, he's telling me all this stuff about her. So he was dealing with a lot, and him and I were tight. And how dare I get sick?
right,
So I did what I knew 100% was going to heal my body. I went raw, and then I found a juice bar, and I walked in. I was like, I'll work for free. Just let me learn this business. Let me. So I ended up a shareholder, and I just ended up running the whole thing, and I went raw vegan for about 3 years. Dropped 70 pounds. Every ailment that I had, I was pre this, pre that, this, and all just melted away.
wow. You know,
Energy through the roof.
you bring up your story about being a foster kid and things like that, and usually, usually foster kids end up a statistic in some cases. You did not. You've become a
What you
very
mean I'm not a statistic? How
you
you
are
know? No, I'm teasing.
you are an exception to the rule for sure. You are
It was
successful.
that thing inside of me that said, I had mirrors. I could see, I'm, I'm good looking. I'm exceptionally good looking.
Hmm.
I knew that God had given me certain gifts, and I'm really smart, and I'm a storyteller. I had teachers that kept me on the right path, that kept patting me on the back, that kept using me as an example in creative writing. Angela just used this word, and Angela this, you know, and I was really smart, and I knew that I wanted to be, I wanted to contribute, and I wanted more. I wanted a child, and I wanted to be in a position where I could do the things for my child that weren't done for me. So I just held on. I just held on. I just held on.
Now, I'm going to ask you. You have, again, being the person you are. You are a model. You're all these other things. Usually, models take themselves so seriously. They could never, ever do roles like you did. Here you are. You are pretty and making everybody in the world laugh at the same time. Where did your comedic skills or instinct come from?
It's a download. We all get our gifts.
Right.
We all get a gift. Being an only child with no parents, you got to laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah.
You got to keep the bullies off of you, the mean girls that don't like you because you're so pretty, the boys that you know put their love letters, shoving them down your shirt and knocking you down. So I mean, I was really funny as a kid. I remember one time it was like maybe fifth grade, and they were all capping, and I remember like the popular kids saying, "All right, now I'm gonna go get Angie on you," and I was like, "Oh wow, I am funny." There's a pop. He was like he said, "I'm gonna get Angie on you." That still makes my heart race. It gives me chills. But I just it's just one of my gifts, and I when you just let her rip, I have the ability to be fearless.
Right.
Comedy comes from being fearless. You just go.
Wow.
And I honed it. Your brain is a muscle. And when I started stand up comedy, it's like working out. The more you do it, the more I used to just used to download. It's like, oh snap. And then you go to the club and you work it and you work it, and then you learn the mechanics of comedy. It's setup, delivery, punchline, tagline. you know
Absolutely. Now I know that you're in Texas right now working on a project. Um, but you're also doing other things. You've branched out again. Like I said, you have so many things that you're doing. One thing I did want to talk to you about, you released a book almost 2 years ago now called
Yes.
Seven Sinners and the Angel Who Loved Them. Now, there's a couple things now since I'm talking to you about your background as one of needing love and stuff like that, and giving love as well. Now, this title actually makes even more sense. I know we talked about it before we started recording. Could you tell the audience about the book, please?
This book is about, okay, here's what it is in a nutshell, in one sentence. It's a mystical final destination set in the music industry, steeped in numerology. And the motivating drive behind it is that sacrifice is inevitable. And it's about energy and frequency, and everything has its own energy and its own frequency, including numbers. So way back in the day, I've had this story for 20 years. So way back in the day when the rappers were dying in the 90s, I figured out that all of them were either born on a 7-day or died on a 7-day. And a 7-day is the 7th, the 16th, or the 25th. The 16th, 1 plus 6 equals 7. The
Right.
25th, 2 plus 5 equals 7. I'll just tell you this one little bit piece. So, Bobby DeBarge died on the 16th. Tupac born on the 16th. Eazy-E born on the 7th. Aaliyah born and died on a 7. Selena born and died on a 7. It goes back. Buddy Holly. It just goes on and on and on and on. And it's I posted a list on one of my posts.
Yeah.
It's probably about 50 musicians.
Wasn't Prince died on the 16th, didn't he?
Prince was born on the 7th.
Okay, Prince was born on the 7th. Okay.
But
He died in
But
20.
Prince's month and day, Prince died on April 21. April is a 4,
Right.
21 is a 3. It's a 7.
Right. Yeah.
Bob Marley died on March 31st. That's a 7.
Right.
So the energy of a 7 is celestial. It's musical, but it's also lucky, and you pay for that luck. Sacrifice is inevitable. Our royalty, Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, born on the 25th. The King of Soul, James Brown, died on the 25th.
Yeah, Christmas Day.
The King of Pop, Michael Jackson, died on the 25th.
That's right. Yeah, Michael Jackson. He
The
died June 25th.
the King of Kings, Jesus Christ, born on the 25th
Wow.
and was sacrificed. So you'll get to that part of the book when you get there, but sacrifice is inevitable. And so 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, Lamont Bentley, the dark-skinned, really funny one from Moesha, he died.
Right.
And a couple of days later, a group of us were together. And, we all kind of ran the same circle. We were in Hollywood, Black Hollywood. And there was some of us sitting and we were talking about it. And I looked him up and I was like, oh, my God. He was born on the 25th and he was a rapper. Of course he was born on the 25th. And so everyone was like, well, what's my day? What's my day? I told them about, Pac and Easy and Selena and all of them. And it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it stopped right at 7. There was no duplicates. There were 6 of us. And it just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And everyone got a little spooked. Everyone started going home. And as I was driving home, I said, wow, this is a plot point. This is a plot. This is because I found all of this information. They were all 7s, born and dying on a 7. What do I do with this? What do I do with it? And then that happened. So I considered it a plot point. So in the book, Big Star is killed on a video shoot horrifically. Right. It's a gory book. Life is gory. So she dies on the shoot. These 6 people come together to figure out how to minimize their liability. And they figure out, what they're going to offer the mom. Because the mom of the big star, she's basically a Felicia. They offer her $2 million. They get a big insurance payout on her. They got her catalog now. The mom knows nothing. Mom's going to walk away with $2 million. They come together at the bar, the 6 of them, to celebrate that, they're off the hook. And that's the first one dies. And we're off.
It is a very intriguing book. It is gory, but it's also suspenseful. It's got a lot of suspense in it. It really does.
I'm so happy you said
I do love that. It is great. Couple things. I know that you are always doing something. You're flying around the world doing something. I know you're working on a project, and if you can't share what your project is right now, can you, or even give a hint? I understand.
No, I'll tell you what I'm working on. I've got a couple of things that are coming up. Listen, I remember someone coming to me about 10 years ago. It's like, when are you just going to stay with one thing? And it's like, my life is in 7-year cycles. And I knew as a kid, Trunnis, it sounds so big-headed or whatever you want to call it, but I'm so talented. And my interests are vast. I'm ADHD. I'm dyslexic. I have no brothers, no sisters. My son is grown. I have no, I'm a water sign. So I just flow and I go with the flow. And I'm going to use all of it. It sounds corny, but when I stand before God, and I know that I will, I can tell him I don't have any more talents left because I used them all.
Right.
So one of my projects is I've got a property here in Texas, and we're basically turning it into a little community. So the front house is done. It's already on Airbnb, and it's doing well. We're at the top of Texas by the Panhandle. So we get a lot of cross-country travelers. We get the turbine workers. We get people coming for funerals, weddings. It's always booked. It's adorable. The back house isn't ready yet, and there's another structure. Then we got to get the gardens ready. So it's another 17, 18 months of just, getting this thing together how I want it. But my next so I went through veganism. I was a vegan advocate for a decade at the top, at the highest level. Speaking with politicians, I'm a PETA celebrity. I've been honored. I've been honored along with Jane Goodall. Wow. But my next great, what I'm championing next is parent alienation. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about parenting. And we're going to give people tools, because now that I'm on the other side, you've got to, my son's TikTok is, I think it's just Kaya, or no, it's Side Quest Kaya. And you got to scroll through there, or I can send it to you.
Okay.
He did a video on him and his mother, um, him and his mother's relationship. And it went viral. It went all over the internet. It must have been viewed 50 million times. I mean, some of the biggest blogs on the internet picked it up. And it was just phenomenal. And when I didn't know he was going to put it up, and somebody sent it to me, and you don't know how well you're doing as a parent until your children are adults and they're able to look back.
That is very true.
And this video is phenomenal. So it's given me license to talk about a lot of parenting issues, how to co-parent. And me and his dad broke up when he was 6, but we co-parented beautifully.
Good.
Our motto was we're going to love Bradley more than we dislike each other. And I mean, there were times where we really disliked one another. It was like, if I was a guy, I would kick your ass. He was like, yeah, if you were a guy, I would kick your ass right now, Angie.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I don't know if you've ever been through a breakup with children, and after a long period of time, things are said, things are done, and, emotions are flying. But we found a common ground. We never used Bradley. We never weaponized him. We never used him as a pawn. If one parent vetoed something, hey, dad said no, it's a no. Hey, mom said no on this one, kid, I'm sorry, it's a no. We just gave him a clear shot. We didn't get in his, we didn't do all of this to him.
Right.
And your dad, your mom, I'm sure things were said. But at the end of the day, I had immense respect for his father. I kept a picture of him and his father next to his bed. So there was nothing in his paradigm but his goals.
Good.
So I want to share that with people. I want to help mend, you see all these celebrity kids, they'll come on and they'll tell all the business. We can mend that. We can mend that, or we can give parents tools, certain things that you can do to keep them close, but still go on and do what you're doing. I wasn't able to do it because I'm a farm girl. I had my idea of how I wanted to parent, and I was a comedian, so I couldn't parent my son from a hotel room in Paducah, Kentucky, because I was doing a club there. I couldn't do it. So his father was very successful and was very generous enough to let me stay at home with Bradley. And now, Bradley has a master's degree from USC.
Yes.
He just landed, that's what I can't talk about, is what he's doing right now. It'll be announced, and it's phenomenal what he's doing right now.
Now he was drafted
By Detroit.
Detroit. I was wondering which one he was drafted. Yes.
Yeah, and he went to he got traded to Indianapolis Colts, where him and Andrew Luck bonded.
Right.
And Andrew became his mentor. Andrew had got a serious injury, and Bradley broke his back there.
Right.
So after the surgery, Andrew gave him license to walk away. And Dad and I were right in his corner.
I hate to say this, but Indianapolis is a bad place to be a quarterback, because I'm sorry, they do not treat any of them, and it's still going on even after your son. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a bad place to be a quarterback, and I used to live in Indianapolis, and I know a lot of Colts fans, but yeah, it is But your son is
no bueno.
Yeah, but I will say, but your son is a very, very well balanced. He was a great student athlete and a great person. He's a role model for a lot of young people, for
Yeah.
sure. And now I know, by talking to you and getting a little bit of the backstory, I know that it was the co-parenting that you guys did that made that.
Absolutely. We insisted. Like I said, he did everything we asked, and I insisted on A's. There was no There was no option. No option. And by the time he was 3, you know, I showed him that I was going to be fair and that he could trust me. It was a lot of things that I did to show him that listen, I came to his level. You got to trust me. And like I said, I had certain tools and I had the time, and that's why I want to champion parenting.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you were a great parent, and the great thing about you is you stopped a cycle, okay? And you
Yeah.
gave your child the childhood that you wanted, and now you see what the fruits of that labor is, which is, it's
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's
yeah.
phenomenal, and every great person that I mean, he's right now his job. He's surrounded with greatness. Like I don't want to go, but he's a greatness, and they all are just so intrigued with Bradley and the individual that he is.
Fantastic. You know what? I will say this again. I'm going to reiterate this. It was an absolute, I'm telling you, I'm actually talking to you. I am going back in time to probably the greatest entertaining years of my life. I used to wind down with you, and I appreciate everything that you've done, everything you've done in my life, the way you contributed to my family, the way now you got my grandson rather saying bye, Felicia, and now he's got to watch it. But you know what? I want to end this, and I've got to do this. I'm so sorry. I've got to do this. All right.
I'm good.
I'm gonna have to say this to you, and I know that. And the funny thing is I'm saying this to you knowing that most of my friends and family would probably want to say this, and they're going to be mad and jealous that I actually get to say this. But I'm going to say it, and to end this interview, I'm going to say this. Bye, Felicia. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you so much.
It's only a pleasure.
The battle doesn't always end when the service does. For many veterans, the transition to civilian life is a journey of resilience, struggle, and hope. In Stories of Veterans, from military to civilian life, real men and women share their personal journeys, overcoming challenges, finding purpose, and creating new beginnings. Honor their stories, understand their journey. Stories of Veterans from military to civilian life, available now at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon, and anywhere you buy books.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. You know what? Not going to lie to you. It was so much fun talking to her. And it was almost like a bucket list thing that I did right here on the podcast. I got to say bye, Felicia. And she is such a sport for letting me do that. I'm sure she hears that from about 50 million people all day long. But she is an awesome individual. One thing I loved about her story, yes, she has a phenomenal book, and that book will be in the podcast notes. It's called 7 Sinners and the Angel Who Loved Him, and I want you to read the book because it's she called it dark and gory. It is, but it's got so much suspense in this book. You're going to love to read that. You're going to love this book for sure. But the other thing I wanted to talk about before I get back to the book, and again, like I said, please buy the book. It's on Amazon. Get it. But what I wanted to talk to you about is this. This is a foster child. This is a foster child who made a way. Okay. And then what she did, and we talked about this quite a bit. We talked about this extensively in her interview. She made sure that her child, which is now a phenomenal individual in his own right, did not have to be in the same parental, and I can use that lightly, environment as she was. And she made sure that she even made sacrifices in the way of making sure that she takes great care of the child. And she also took great care in making sure that whatever mom and dad had going as far as not liking each other or whatever had nothing to do with them raising their kid, the kid that they loved the most. And it was a great thing, and it was a great way to do it. And I love what she's talking about with parents and everything she's doing with that. I'm going to tell you, this was a great day. I mean, out of all the podcast episodes I ever had, this actually filled a dream, because, you know, I got to talk to one of the quintessential actors of comedy. She's a phenomenal comedian. She's a beautiful person. And, you know, I got to talk to somebody who was literally in one of my top 5 movies. So I really felt like a little bit of a geek, a little bit of a fan today. And I'm glad I have the opportunity to do it. And I'm going to tell you, it's the podcast. I have great guests on this podcast, and I love how they come in, and thank you so much, Angela, for coming on the program. I know that when I'm going to tell you, when she came on this program, she had just got off a flight. Okay. And then she rushed. And that's why it's done over the phone, you know, and she just got off a flight, just got home, just sat down. I don't even think her bags are unpacked. That shows what type of person she is. And I love her for it. I really do. The care that she did for someone like me, you know, a little podcast guy, you know what I mean? And I really do appreciate that. We will be back next week. We'll be back next week with a phenomenal show. We have another star. She is from Saskatchewan. One thing I love about this individual is she is a Rough Rider fan. She actually broadcast pregame for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Yes, CFL. And now I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care where you are, what you do, you will hear her voice. If you watch television at all, you will hear her voice all the time. Her name is Amanda Sellers. She has a beautiful voice, and she's a beautiful person. We'll be back next week with Amanda Sellers, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.